thank the Lord that the video does not go live until the video is over, because that was the three whitest dudes dancing at the same time. That was hopefully that never starts earlier than we think it's going to, or we might be banned from YouTube. Everybody, welcome in. We are back. We are actually 3 weeks out from NFL football. It will be football eve in 3 weeks. So that means obviously the sleepers, the fire hose is now starting with all the fantasy football information. We are back with our yearly show. If you are not used to the brand, if this is your first time checking in, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button, pretty please. You might know these as bold predictions, maybe some hot takes. Around these parts, we call it the hashtag nuts on the table takes. These are bold calls, but ones that we feel like that we can back up, ones we feel like we have conviction on, and that's how it's going to roll. So I'm excited to dive in. We have not shared any of our picks yet, so we have no idea what anyone is going to be throwing down here. Looks like Kev is working on some homework right before the teacher is going to be collecting it. So, Robbie, I'm going to throw it to you first. Hit us with your first hashtag nuts on the table take for 2021 fantasy football.
But before we start, I think this has to be established. Are we going piping hot first, or are we easing into it? Because I think there's two different ways we can go, right?
Let's ease into it. Let's warm up the oven. Let's open up the oven. Throw some wood chips. Put some coal in there, and we'll get it going that way.
Okay. So this one is, I think, still a nuts on the table take, because I don't think anybody is considering this guy anywhere near the top 10 for wide receivers. And my guy is Cooper Kupp. And I think Kev, for once, might agree with me. We normally bicker back and forth, but I know he's got him as a top 12, top 13 wide receiver. But man, Robert Woods has always been my guy for a long time. And he's underrated year in, year out. Well, it's finally come to a close where Robert Woods is not underrated. He is actually rated as a top 16 wide receiver on most draft ADP. But Cooper Kupp is not, and because basically we just saw a horrendous year from the Rams passing offense where the average depth of target was abysmal. We saw Cooper Kupp have really good targets, really good receptions, but his yardage was terrible, and his touchdown rate that we've seen in previous years, specifically 2019, where he had 10, second only to Kenny Golladay, that dropped off, right? But touchdowns are very fluky, right? They can pop back at any moment, and so I think with Matthew Stafford there, with Robert Woods across from him, I think Cooper Kupp returns to glory. Maybe not quite the wide receiver 4 that we saw a couple years ago, but I do have him as a top 10 wide receiver for my nuts on the table take, man. I think there's just a ton of hope with this offense, with a Matthew Stafford led offense. And people are going to say, it's Robert Woods guy. He can match up a little bit better. He's the deeper target guy. No, I think this is Cooper Kupp more often scores more touchdowns than Robert Woods. And with Matthew Stafford there, I think we can look at that 10 touchdown, 11, 12 touchdown range. And so I think that can get him back into the top 10 wide receivers.
I am also going to have something with the Rams receivers a little later. Call that a cliffhanger.
Ooh,
around a little teaser.
Well, what do you guys think about that? Is that a little too spicy? I mean, Kev probably doesn't think it's all that crazy because he has him as wide receiver 12 or 13. But Cody, how about yourself? Cooper Kupp, can you see a path for him to return to the 2019 form?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if this were the appetizer, it would be like a nice stuffed banana pepper, like nothing too spicy. Might hit you a little bit, but nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's enough to get the palate going. To wake you up. Well, Lito has Kupp at 9. Christian says Bobby Trees is life. Man, if you guys like the Rams content, stick around.
Stick around. And this is not a shot at Bobby Trees. I think they can both be successful. It's just Bobby Trees is going at wide receiver 16, and Cooper Kupp's going like outside the top 20 wide receivers. On some sites, he dips right inside, but this is a guy that's absolutely consensus is having as a low-end wide receiver 2 that I have as a mid-round wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside, in my opinion.
Kev, your thoughts, and then go ahead and roll into your first nuts on the table take.
I don't think there's anything hot about that at all. I think we should expect that. I mean, I think I've said all offseason, I think there's a good chance that both Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp finish as top 12 wide receivers this year. And so I don't think that's hot. We see it every year. And so this is definitely a situation where it can be that. My next one, for me, for some people it could be hot. I don't think it's hot, but since we're starting off, slow, low. This is like a green pepper take. It's not hot, but I have Antonio Gibson as finishing as the RB1. I said the, not a, not the. I said the.
What do you mean that's not hot? Whoa.
For me, it's not hot.
I guess it's because poblanos are technically green. He's like, oh, it's a green pepper take. I guess poblanos are technically green. What do you mean that's not a hot take?
I can't wait for his next 2. If we're just starting in, can you imagine what his next 2 are?
For me, it's not hot. I already have him ranked 5th. Okay, so it's only 4 more spots up. Okay.
Yeah, ahead of I don't know, this guy named Christian McCaffrey. Ahead of your guy Saquon Barkley. Wow, that is very hot. And okay, so talk about it. Like, how does he get to that point? Because we obviously saw the touchdown efficiency and some good yardage efficiency, but you expect him to just get all of the work there in Washington? What's the thought process?
I do. I think this is a situation. They've already talked about it. That they view him very much in the same light as the Christian McCaffrey role here. And J.D. McKissic doesn't scare me.
Yes. Kyle Allen has talked about him.
Kyle Allen is the reporter on that. Let's just let that be known.
Which I'm not worried about. And I think he has 100 target upside. And I don't think that's that hot. I think he takes full control of the third down role, which he did not play any of last year. And I don't think projecting that much. I mean, look what he did in 13 games last year. He is one of the best athletes in terms of just among all running backs. He is right there on the same level as a Jonathan Taylor in terms of athleticism. And so,
hey, how much for Kevin to get off the show, Walito?
Listen. Walito also thinks that the Saints are still like a good team, right? Like he thinks he thinks Joe Mixon has a better chance. Like, get out of here with all that, right? So we're not worried about, I'm just saying, Walito, just like I always say, you stay being a fan and I'll stay being the man. All right? How about that?
Oh, I don't think I've heard that before.
I'm blindsided.
I mean, I wasn't ready for it just because you said you're going to ease into it. And then you said running back 1. I was like, wait, no, the running back 1. And you're right. For this to happen, he has to, 1, keep his touchdown efficiency, right? He 2, he has to increase his volume. $20. Get off. I mean, we're getting up there. That might be worth it. I don't know. He has to get that volume that we didn't see him get, because I think J.D. McKissic, although I think his role is not going to be what it was in 2020, he's still there. He's still going to play on, I don't know, like 50% of third downs. Like, we're talking about, he didn't have any third down work last year in Antonio Gibson. So he has to at least get 50%. And then, I don't know, man, you have to see at least 12, 13 plus touchdowns on the ground, plus another 2 or 3. That's one of your hotter ones. I'm excited to see your next.
I will say this, that I felt like I had to raise the bar, because I actually had it at top 3, but I was like, I already have him as a 5th overall, and so because I had him at the original take was top 3, and I was like, well, I already have him ranked 5th. So me saying that I feel like he's going to finish 2 more spots ahead of that, that's not that hot, So I was like, well, I'm just going to kick it up a notch, and we're just going to go Antonio Gibson RB1 season, the RB1 season. Listen. Outside of the top, 3 or 4 guys, there's not a huge list for me of guys that can finish there, and Antonio Gibson's in that spot for me. I've said it all offseason. I'm not jumping off that ship. I am going to go down with Antonio Gibson, but I feel like he is going to lead all of us Antonio Gibson truthers to the promised land.
Hey, you have an assignment. You need to go to Twitter and tweet that as your nuts on the table. He would like to have the receipts, I believe, for old takes exposed. Okay, Kev's doing that. Hey, Cody.
I feel like Kev was just like, yeah, man, I hit on a lottery ticket. You're like, oh, cool, man. What? You hit a scratch off like $100 or something? He's like, oh, nah, the Powerball. I hit the Powerball. Like, what? What just happened? Mom and dad are getting divorced.
I'm adopted? What? Cody, you better.
I'm tweeting it now. I am tweeting it now. I'm not worried. I've tweeted a lot of dumb shit in my time. So okay, I've got like 25,000 tweets out there.
The way that fantasy Twitter works, this will be your most popular tweet by far. It'll be your most popular tweet by far.
I'm not even going to put like hot take or bold prediction. I'm just going to put Antonio Gibson is the RB1 in 2021.
All right,
well, shout Cody. Out Walito, even if it was to try and get Kevin off the show. Shout out Walito coming through with the super chat. Anyone else who's rocking with us live right now, I want to get your thoughts as well. So if you think that is Ghost Pepper Poblano, let us know, because that was Miley Cyrus came in like a wrecking ball right there. Whew. I feel. You said you're excited, Robbie, for the rest of his takes. I'm scared.
I don't even want to say the rest of ours, Cody. I don't even want to say the rest of ours. Let's just go right to Kev's second and third one. Just go right to him.
Yeah, I mean, mine. The first one I'm going to start off with has a similar start to what Kev said in terms of I don't feel it's that hot. I've been talking about both of these guys for what feels like 6 months now. They're both being drafted outside of this range, but I have Austin Eckler and Clyde Edwards-Helaire both finishing in the top 8. And I feel this is such like a letdown. I feel like I just need to completely change everything. But both of them finishing in the top 8 in PPR scoring. Eckler right now being drafted around like RB 10, RB 8 to 10, somewhere around there. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going anywhere from RB 14 to RB 16, that range. So I think this is, that stuffed pepper, stuffed banana pepper kind of heat. Not that hot to start it off, but my face was just melted. I am completely befuddled. I think this was in Kev's plans the whole time.
No, it's exactly like I said. Like for me, in my world, that's not hot. I'm just like, okay, no, that's normal, and we should be viewing Antonio Gibson that way. It's just there's a lot of fish in the sea in fantasy football, and can't see the forest for the trees, right? And it's I have to see it to believe it. Nope, not me. I am like a crystal ball, and I see the future, and it's not hot whatsoever, right? It's not hot. Antonio Gibson is set up to be the RB1 this year. At the very least, top 5. I feel like that's not hot whatsoever. And he's in that position, and there's nothing hot about it. So for other people, it might be. The Antonio Gibson haters here, they might be hot.
There are none.
But I am fully all in. I am in Antonio Gibson.
Cody, I have to ask you about this because you have both of these gentlemen as a top 8 for your nuts on the table. But if we scroll over to the fantasyauthority.com, we go to the redraft tab, we go to the redraft rankings. You have them at running back 4 and running back 5. So I think you need to amend yours and say they will both be top 5 running backs, because that's how you have it ranked. That's a ranking. That's not even your bold take, your high side of it. If all things break right, you could even say they're number 1 and 2.
Who?
Eckler and CEH.
Oh, him. Yeah. I thought you were talking about wait, I have Aaron Jones.
No, we're done with you. You're done. We're moved on to Cody's hot take, which was not hot at all because it's actually worse than his rankings. So you need to amend that a little bit.
All right, then amend it. Put it down. Amend it. Amend away.
What's the new one?
Oh, before I forget, while we're here, okay? I've been wanting to do this, and now we're here. We're gonna come up with another bet. Last year I think it was an Avi bet, and I had to change my Avi, which for I don't even remember what. It was the face. It was the face that I
Ronald Jones.
I want to officially. I'm gonna challenge you here. I'm gonna take Saquon. You are gonna take Zeke. We can come up with whatever the actual bet is, but whoever finishes higher, because I 100% it's Saquon Barkley. It's not even close. And I know you're on the Zeke side. So we need to come up with something on that. But I didn't want to forget it because I was thinking about it the other day. And while we're on the show, we got to put this in writing and get this on the board.
You were probably thinking about that as everybody who watched the video came in with Zeke comments, pro Zeke comments, and Kev Steele has to clap back at every single one.
Who did the Saquon player profile? Me, right? I am riding that train. I am. I brought the heat on that video. The spice came straight on that one, right? Came for people's throats. But we need to get that on the board. So,
absolutely fine with that. We can do that.
And Kev, we also need to get this. This is funny that I have now. Both of you guys have gone and talked about players I will also be talking about later on in the show. But Kev, me and you need to get something on paper for Cortland Sutton versus Jerry Jeudy. We need to figure out the terms and conditions of that as well. But I do want to jump to the chat real quick before we start on round 2. Kevin Foley joining us wants to know thoughts on Mike Davis as a viable RB2. I don't know where you guys have him, but I have him ranked as such. I think I have him at 21, I want to say. So I like him as RB2. I know there's some hype with some of the UDFAs coming out of camp right now, but I'm not worried about them. And I think for his price, he was going a little bit higher earlier in the offseason, but it seemed like that has kind of died down a little bit. He's starting to slip into round 5. So I'm perfectly fine with Mike Davis as a viable RB2 for sure. Guys, your thoughts on that?
I want to hear Kev's because I've heard Kev absolutely trash us in a mock draft when we took Mike Davis as like our running back 3, and it was the worst pick in the world. But then I've also heard Kev be pretty pro Mike Davis. I think that's a pretty strong. The volume's going to be there. This offense is going to have to play. They're going to throw the ball to him. We are all pretty similar, at least in rankings. 21 for you. I believe Kev and I are both at 22. So I absolutely think he's a running back 2, and that's just volume, right? They have nobody else there. Quadri Allison, sure, he's going to mix in a little bit. Javian Hawkins, I think, is kind of interesting, but these are like names of like if something happens to him. I don't think they're mixing in. I think he has the pass work volume with only Ridley and Pitts. I mean, he's going to get passing work and then just the volume of rushing as well. I think he can get 18 touches a game.
And even if those other guys do mix in the price, that's already baked in.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine with him. I think that if he's sitting there, it's just. So I've done a lot of best ball drafts, right? And there's ranges for me of players that I will just never get because of what I'm looking for in those ranges of players. And the only way I could see myself taking Mike Davis is if I went an anchor RB approach and he fell to the 5th round to me. If I was doing that and I was picking in the top 3 picks and, I got, if I went, Antonio Gibson or, if whoever I go there, Chris McCaffrey, whatever. And then, because after that, if I have that pick, when I come around to the second 2 to 3 turn, unless the only way I would take another running back there, because I think it's it's a little bit suboptimal to do so because of the running backs that are likely already off the board. I mean, Aaron Jones is gone, Eckler's gone, Nick Chubb's gone. Usually Najee Harris is gone. I mean, probably even Jonathan Taylor, even possibly Joe Mixon are gone if you're picking at the back half. So from there, I don't really love any of those running backs after that, right? And so I would prefer just to hammer down on 2 wide receivers at that point. And then so if I'm going to, and I'm sitting there in the 5th, 6th round, and I'm wanting to grab an RB2 at that point, then he would be somebody that I'd be interested in if he was there in the 5th round. Because I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I get the volume is certainly there for him. All the opportunity is there for him. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel exciting to me. It's just oh, okay. I think he could be a fine, guy who gets you 14, 15 fantasy points somewhere, probably where he'll average somewhere right that, a week. And that's fine. But, I'm probably going to be looking for much more higher upside guys down the road. Because I kind of feel like that range of running backs, I don't believe there really is a dead zone this year. I don't that RB dead zone. I don't think there is one this year. As people like to usually say, the 3 through 6 round is kind of the RB dead zone. Like last year, those were guys like Mark Ingram and Todd Gurley and a bunch of old bums, right? Like this year, there's a lot of players littered through there. I mean, Miles Sanders is going 4th and 5th round. Josh Jacobs is going in that range. And, you have Mike Davis and Darrell Henderson is going in. I mean, there's a lot of running backs with some juice there. Travis Etienne is going there. Javonte Williams. So there's a lot of running backs in that range that I don't really mind. And so, I even feel like kind of like if you're going to, if you really wanted to do a 0 RB approach, I'm not like a big advocate of it. I'm much more anchor RB. But if you want to, I think you could do it. Like it's a viable year to do that strategy.
So your answer to the question would be yes.
Yeah, but I just felt like it was a good talking point. All right, I'm not a robot, Cody. I have other thoughts. I'm full of knowledge here, and I'm ready to let them out into the world. I'm ready to win people championships around here. Okay.
I have human emotion. Here's something you can expand on a little bit. Kev, Meef wants to know if Gibson is going to get pass work. I know you already touched on this a little bit, but if you just want to add on to this for Meef, because then he also followed it up with "These cats are wild." So Gibson, pass work. How do you see that expanding? Let's go there, because he had 40-ish targets last year.
Yeah, and 40? What was it? 12, 13 games?
14, 13, 14, yeah, something like that.
Oh, yeah, I think it was 14, yeah. But, yeah, 14 games, 40-some targets. Like I said, he was only utilized last year on 1st and 2nd down, which I've talked about this a bunch. I feel like I'm kind of a broken record with this because I've done profiles and now a throwdown on this yesterday. But, I mean, he was a guy who was not really a running back in college. And so to expect him to come in year one and be able to pick up pass protection and feel comfortable with it, especially with a quarterback like Alex Smith back there, for a portion of the season, who's coming off that major injury. Like, he's just not somebody you were going to ask to do that. And so it wasn't surprising whatsoever, the way they went about it and the way they handled it. But this offseason, there's no way they're going to have a guy who, as productive as him, as good of a pass catcher that he is going to lose out on work, and he's going to lose out on 3rd down work. This isn't a Nick Chubb type guy who's only going to get 30, 40 targets, right? And this is a player that can easily get 100 targets and maximize that, because he is a terrific pass catcher out of the backfield. You could put him wherever you want. You could line him up in the slot if you wanted to. So his pass catching role is definitely going to grow. And that's why I would say, just for a medium projection for me, I think 70 to 80 targets is definitely fair. And then if everything works out, because obviously this is a little bit bold prediction on some of the stuff that we're talking about, but I don't think it's all that hot.
Speaking of hot.
Hi, guys.
What's up, beautiful?
How we doing?
We were doing great until Kev was like, "Oh, this one's not that hot." Antonio Gibson, RB1.
I like it.
But that was him, running back one. That was him easing in.
I know. I like it. You're going fucking bold,
first preseason
right?
game snap share is not a concern. I just want to get that out there. It was like 3 snaps. Okay, like it's not that big of a deal. It was 1 drive. Like, I'm not worried about that whatsoever.
Preseason should not be a concern at all for anybody.
No. Yeah, I've been seeing on social media a lot of people making a lot of assumptions after the first week of preseason games, and I don't get it. I understand that there's a need for a bunch of fantasy content, but like, just complete overreactions based on snap counts and all that kind of stuff. I do remember seeing it was 3rd and 10, Gibson off the field, McKissick back on. Oh my God.
I feel like the only thing you can take away from preseason games is, like, you have to watch players and see how they're moving around. See if guys are running better routes, if they're quick in and out of their breaks. Like, is Zeke look slimmer? You know what I mean? Because, some players look slower than they did last year, or they might look faster. That's the only thing I can really take away from preseason. You can't look at scheme. You can't look at the plays or snap share or anything, really, in my opinion.
I mean, to a point, but also, like, I'm buying in with the Texans, Phillip Lindsay getting more snaps than David Johnson, him being listed. I get the depth chart thing. Like, they do all crazy things with depth charts. But, like, after that and seeing him get more snaps, like, I guess there's certain ones where it's not a one-size-fits-all. Like, there's certain snap shares that I'm starting to buy in a little bit, where I've dropped David Johnson down a little bit, bumped up Phillip Lindsay a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, with Antonio Gibson not getting third down work in the first preseason game, I mean, it's a thing, but it's not like, oh, he can't do it. It's just one preseason game, right?
Word.
Well, Tom, since you just busted in Wedding Crasher style, do you have a bold take, nuts on the table prediction you would like to throw out?
I do.
Jalen Hurts, DQB1.
Who's that?
Jalen Hurts.
I will drive out there and punch you right in your penis.
I love Jalen Hurts.
I would love it. I would love it if it happened, but it's not going to happen. All right, I'm going to go nuts on the table. Deontay Johnson has over 100 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
Starting off very.
Is that even that bold?
Very mild. Very mild. That's probably like more like you say, like I'm starting off mild, and that's probably where you guys thought that I would have went, and then I just
green pepper.
Yeah, but we all have different risk tolerances, and some people may think fucking Cheeto is hot, where other people can eat a fucking ghost pepper and be like, oh, that's not actually that bad.
That is a great point, actually. I have no tolerance for spice, and maybe that's why my Cooper Kupp top 10 was not quite as spicy as Antonio Gibson, the running back one. That is a great point.
I have a couple more.
Wait your turn.
Hold on, I'll give you one more. Joe Burrow is a top 5 quarterback.
I like that one better.
I'm happy. See, you know what? I'm waiting to jump on the show. Because is anybody nervous at all about this Bengals offense? Like with Joe Burrow and like him talking about not really feeling comfortable back there because of his knee, and we're hearing have we heard anything good about Jamar Chase yet? Have we heard anything about I haven't heard one positive Jamar Chase tweet whatsoever, right? But the guy's being drafted in the 5th fucking round, like he's just gonna come out and just fucking ball this year. And I love Jamar Chase. I love Jamar Chase. But drafting him in the 5th round is so fucking stupid to me because the players that are going there, especially at wide receiver, are the chances of him outscoring them is so low because rookie wide receivers tend to disappoint, right? But now all of a sudden, because of Justin Jefferson, which you knew was going to happen, I remember talking about this last year, when Justin Jefferson had that monster year. Everybody's going to forget these things, that rookie wide receivers tend to take a long time to produce. They're not usually going to come out year one and just crush. And so Jamar Chase going 5th round is ridiculous. And this is an ambiguous wide receiver group, right? Because really you have Higgins, you have Tyler Boyd, and you have Jamar Chase all going here. And so I am somewhat concerned with Joe Burrow and the fact that I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get going, especially, if he's still really concerned in his head about his knee, which you get. It was a major injury that he's coming back from and everything else.
He's looked better according to reports.
But I feel like if I'm going to take anybody in this wide receiver room, just give me Tyler Boyd. Give me the cheapest guy.
Well, you talked about Chase in the 5th. You can get T. Higgins in the 7th.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous of Jamar. And now I'm sure he'll follow it because we're starting to get some negative stuff about him. So he'll start to fall some. But it's just crazy to me. What are we doing here? With taking a rookie wide receiver that high?
Yeah.
One of mine that I was going to throw out, Tom, just to go off of your Joe Burrow top 5. I was going to throw out the Joe Burrow supports 3 top 30 wide receivers, but that one didn't seem like that one seemed like mild. That one seemed mild.
Yeah, that's like a nacho cheese Dorito.
Well, I mean, since I don't really have any gauge of what's hot, can you tell me if this is hot? I have Bryan Edwards, top 30 wide receiver. Is that hot? I don't know if it's hot.
Where is he at? Is he like in the 60s right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's down pretty far. That's something you should have led with.
Yeah, that would have been much better, Kev. I mean, that one's like not – I just think it's the running back one that was so piping, right? Like he has to beat McCaffrey, right? But yeah, Bryan Edwards, I think with all the positive reports we've seen, it's foreseeable that he's the wide receiver one in that offense, right? And if you're the wide receiver one, you can absolutely be a flex play, and that's what wide receiver 30-ish is, right? So I'd say that's on the upside of his arc of what he can do. But yeah, it's hot, but not that's the green pepper that you should have let out with.
I just want to go back to this one from Sean real quick. I like this call. I like this call that he exceeds the hype. I like this one.
I do find it funny with Pitts that people talk about it like, oh man, like if you were to get like 900 receiving, what is it, the record, 900 receiving yards for a tight end or something like that?
Yeah, Jeremy Shockey had somewhere around that.
It's not fantastic numbers anyways. Like it's a good season for a tight end. And I'm like, why are people acting like this is unattainable? Like it's not like it's some like Justin Jefferson type season, right? Like it's going to be a while probably until we see a wide receiver break that rookie record what he just put up with the 1,400 receiving yards. Oh, we're going to put up something like that. But 900 yards in this offense with a terrible defense with nobody else there besides Calvin Ridley. Why is it like it shouldn't be that hot that he's getting that he can do this? That I mean, he is kind of a wide receiver in his own right, like And like I said, if he was a wide receiver, he still would have been a first-round pick in the NFL, whether he's tight end or he's a receiver. So to me, it's not that hot to say that he can have 1,000 yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns.
Well, his over/under is 800.
Was it? I thought it was in the 900s.
No, so they dropped Pitts. And they dropped Chase. Chase was at like 1090,
like right over 1,000, right? Yeah.
Well, he was over 1,000. He was almost at 1,100, and so much action came in on him that they dropped him 100 yards. So now he's just
the under on that.
So now
he's Akash coming through with his.
Oh, he went. Hold on. He went back up to 1025, so they're splitting the difference.
Okay.
Okay.
Robbie, what's your next one? Hit us with your next one.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be glad to do that. This is building up from the Cooper Kupp top 10 wide receiver. And this one is Cam Newton will be a top 12 quarterback. And the reason all right, there's 1, 2, Cody's is kind of mild. This guy was quarterback 16 last year, and he changed teams, had no offseason, got COVID. He missed a game. He had no weapons. And he was quarterback 16 after all of that nonsense, right? After everything that happened, he was quarterback 16. And now he's like quarterback 30 or something like that in ADP. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Mack Jones has been meh in training camp so far. His preseason game showed that he's just kind of a clock management guy for so far. This Pats team, with all the struggles they had offensively, was 7-9 with all the opt-outs on defense. If this team is in playoff contention at all, there's no way they're going from Cam Newton to Mack Jones. I think this defense gets better because they have now the pass rush. They've added weapons on the offense. He has probably the best tight end duo. Tom might say it's still the Eagles, but Jonnu and Hunter Henry, I really like that tight end duo going from Devin Asiasi and God knows who the other guy was, Dalton Keene, to Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Like that's a major upgrade. All of this, and he was quarterback 16 last year. He can absolutely be a quarterback 1 this year, and that is my second nuts on the table take.
First of all, watch your fucking mouth. It's Dan Arnold and Tommy Tremble, clearly, is the best tight end duo.
Okay, I like some Tommy Tremble. I'm with you.
But Cam Newton's not even going to be the starting quarterback by week fucking 4. or 5.
Hold on. I got to interrupt you because you'll go on a 30-minute rant. Hold on. You always do this, Kev. You push these rookies into starting positions before you think Trey Lance is starting week 1. You think Justin Fields is starting week 1. You're probably going to say Mack
I don't
Jones
think any of them are going to start week 1. But they're all going to start this year. They're all going to play this year. Every one of them. The only one that has the best opportunity to not would be Trey Lance, and that would be the 49ers start off and play excellent all year. But there is zero chance that Andy Dalton's a starting quarterback of the Bears all year, and Justin Fields doesn't play. There's zero chance that Cam Newton is going to be.
Why?
We put it at 5% because anything can happen. That Cam Newton is going to be the starter all year. I predict by the week that they play the Patriots and the Bucks, or when they play the Bucks, the Bucks are going to smack the shit out of them. And you're going to see Mack Jones right after that game. Because I would think that if you're the Patriots, you probably don't want Mack Jones going up against Tom Brady in that game, right? You're going to let Cam Newton take the fall in that one because you know Tom Brady's coming to town, and Tom Brady's going to kick the shit out of the Patriots in that game, right? It's just going to happen. And so, but after that, Cam Newton's done, and it's going to be Mack Jones.
I honestly don't think so. I mean, Mack Jones was a first-round pick, but I think everybody got scooted up a little bit higher. Like, I think absolutely Cam Newton could start the whole season. Like, Mack Jones is okay, guys. Like, I don't know why we think he's this prodigy that needs to start right away.
He's not. But the problem is that but that you invested so much in him.
That's
and
the
smart
argument,
teams.
But we've seen
teams are smart. Smart teams will start their quarterback as soon as they can because to start that clock to start seeing who this guy is, right? Because imagine, just think about this for a second. Here's a really good example on the top of my head. Imagine if the Cardinals wouldn't have started Josh Rosen year 1. They never would have got Kyler Murray. Where the hell would the Cardinals be right now if that wouldn't happen? I don't know. Maybe they would have got a different quarterback, whatever. But it is so important to start that rookie quarterback as soon as you possibly can to see what you have in them. Because smart franchises should always be taking shots on quarterback. Cam Newton is nothing. Cam Newton is not anywhere close to the future of anything for them. They need to start Mack Jones as soon as possible. Same with Trey Lance. The same with Justin Fields. Will they start the year okay? Yes. I think all of them are going to sit. I don't think any of them are going to start. The only rookies we're going to see, obviously, is Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. And I think, but there is zero chance that not all of these guys are starting. The only one I could see, like I said, is possibly Jimmy Garoppolo because how good that defense is. And they have a really, really, really soft schedule. And so it's possible that he can play well enough to keep that job and Trey Lance doesn't start. But that's the only one.
One other thing, Josh McDaniels really knows how to protect quarterbacks. He did it with Jimmy G early. Kev is putting me to sleep. He helped Brady scheme, got the best out of him. Cam Newton was the QB 16 you said last year. So Mack Jones will be just fine when he goes in there because Josh McDaniels is going to wind up scheming to his strengths.
No, Mack Jones will be a Jimmy Garoppolo unusable fantasy asset week in, week out. He does not have anywhere near the upside of Cam Newton. And that's why I like him so much because when he was so bad at passing because of the lack of weapons. Imagine what he could do with the uptick. Again, they don't have the best wide receiver core, but they upgraded and they have fantastic tight ends. Like he can now throw for more than 88 yards a game. He can throw for more than 8 passing touchdowns in a season. Like he'll probably break that in the 6 starts that Kevin thinks he gets is that he'll probably have 10 passing touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like I get it. There's a chance that he could get replaced, but if it's not till week 10, you can have a borderline top 15 quarterback. And my hot, nuts on the table take is that he gets top 12.
Whew. AK did want some thoughts on his hot take. I think the only thing hot about this is the 250 carries. I think the 90 targets is definitely in the range of outcomes. The 250 carries, I don't know if they're going to be in control of games enough for him to have that many carries, considering Jamal Williams is going to chip in some carries as well. But what are your thoughts on Swift and then Walito coming in and going back at Kev with his Antonio Gibson take and putting Swift in the top 6? But thoughts on AK's hot take?
Yeah, it's a bit much. It's obviously a hot take, right? So we want to stretch the limits a little bit. 250 is a lot. It's a lot for the type of running back that at least we saw last year. He can improve and get a better volume, which I think he will. But we're talking about, I think, a little bit more of a running. He's like an Austin Eckler, right? Where I don't think Austin Eckler gets much more than 200 carries, 210 carries. I think I view Swift in that same vein. So if we're going high end, maybe we get up to 230-ish. The targets I'm fine with. The targets, you could argue that's not even hot. 90 targets with only Hawkinson in that offense. I think it's the carry side that gets a little bit much for me. So, yeah, I don't mind it.
It's good to see some returning faces back to the TFA chat. We got HG joining us, wanting a rate on this team. Fitz, Davis, Zeke, Deontay, Ridley, Logan Thomas, flexes Cooks, benches Allen Robinson. No, Allen Robinson and Deontay Johnson out. Cup, Damian Harris, David Johnson, Dobbins, and Cousins. I would like for that. Well, I guess if we put Dobbins in at the RB2 spot over Mike Davis, so Zeke and Dobbins.
His wide receivers are good.
Deontay, A-Rob, Ridley. Yep. Cup. I like it. I
This is a team that I would be curious. Like, I don't know if this is a two. I guess I would assume it's not a 2-quarterback league, but if this is like your standard 12-team league, in like Justin Fields or Trey Lance, those guys are sitting out there in one of those. Or what I would do, because they probably were drafted, is because they're not going to play the first couple of weeks of the year. As soon as they do, I would look to pick them up. Because I don't think you're going to be in love with Fitzpatrick or Cousins as your starting quarterback every week, right? And so, like, I would definitely be looking to stream. Again, with the preface that this is a single quarterback league and it's not like a 16-team league or something like that, just standard 12. Yeah, okay, so it's a 12-team league. So I would be looking to, one, I would drop one of those quarterbacks. I would just look at the schedule if that's what you want to do. Or who else is out there right now? If you've already drafted, what are the quarterbacks are sitting out there? And is there somebody smarter? Because I don't mind, like, if you want to take a shot in your drafts on Trey Lance or Justin Fields, knowing that they're going to be sitting for a few weeks, I don't mind taking a shot on them. And it's assuming that you're not taking one of your early quarterbacks, right? Like obviously Mahomes or Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler, Dak Prescott, even Russell Wilson. I think if you take any of those guys, I ain't messing with those other with those rookies. But if you wait on quarterbacks, I think that then that's when it's smart to, if you're going to be streaming quarterbacks anyways, taking a shot on a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance, I think is a savvy move to kind of see how things play out.
Wouldn't that be even for guys who aren't as big on Cam Newton as I am? If he starts for the first 5-6 weeks, would he not be a guy that you can absolutely pick off of waivers and start for those first 5 weeks?
So I get what you're saying because he has the rushing upside, right? And he has that Konami code that we look for. But wouldn't you just rather take like Taysom Hill and see? I mean, if he starts, I mean, who just has maybe a little bit more? Like I don't know, like Cam Newton.
I just know he starts. You know what I mean? Like Cam Newton is going to be the starter week 1 through, in my opinion, 1 through 10-ish. Yours is probably 1 through 6. And I like the Justin Fields side. Like if you had a Cam Newton, Justin Fields double right there, I think then you're set. That would be fantastic if they're both there. One, I don't think Trey Lance or Justin Fields are probably on his waivers. If they are, fantastic. But I'm guessing a Jameis Winston's there, and I like that. And I think Cam Newton's probably there, and I like that one as well.
No, I assume they're probably both gone. What I would do if I was me is because those guys are going to get dropped rather quickly as soon as we find out they're not starting. And depending on when they start, I would say Justin Fields has the quickest chance to start, I would think, of all these guys. If Andy Dalton for the first 2 or 3 weeks, really struggles, then I think the Justin Fields calls are going to get louder and louder and louder. And though if he keeps playing like he has and preseason, I thought he looked pretty good in his first preseason game of action and just kind of seeing what he do. He did have that fumble, whatever, but other than that, like I felt like he looked pretty damn good. And I still can't believe all the teams that passed on him.
If you haven't had a chance to listen to the training camp dialed in episode with the Chicago Bears, it was basically Andy Dalton looks like Andy Dalton. He has been fine, but it's nothing special. But Justin Fields is going to be knocking on that door very, very early. I'll go ahead and throw out my second nuts on the table take. Robbie, going off of your first one, this year we're going to have, normally we only have one team with 2 top 12 wide receivers, right? Like normally that's the average. One team every year has 2 in the top 12. This year we're going to have 2 teams in the top 12 with wide receivers. So it's going to be Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp, Bobby Trees, all 4 as wide receiver ones this year.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think all of those guys right now, I don't think any of them are actually a wide receiver one. And that's why that's such a cool take, because you're saying not only do they not siphon targets away from each other enough where they can, just one team can have 2 of them, right? Top 12. You've doubled down and now gone 2 of them. I don't hate it, as a guy who thinks the Cowboys defense is obviously not fantastic. They're going to throw a bunch. We all like the Rams. I don't think all 4 of us like the Rams. I absolutely think that's doable. It's just tough because it's going to come down to health, right? Predicting 4 guys to all stay healthy enough to make the top 12. That's what it's going to come down to for you.
So past 2 seasons, the wide receiver 8 to wide receiver 12, their averages are 121 targets, 79 catches, 1,065 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Like, that is more than attainable for all 4 of those guys. AK, it was Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb all finish as wide receiver ones. Typically, year in, year out, we only have one team produce 2 wide receivers. 2 wide receivers and have top 12 seasons. This year, I say we have 2. Those are the 2 we got.
If you had to pick one, guys, who's the toughest one? Like, who's the guy that's like, man, that's the one that they might struggle with? Because I think, and again, I've always been the Bobby Trees guy, but if he doesn't keep his touchdowns up, like he had 6 touchdowns last year, and that was like a good touchdown year for him. That's the one I worry with a bit, Cody, because I think he gets the targets. I think he gets the receptions. I think his ADOT helps and his yards go up. But if he gets like another 4 or 5 touchdown year, I'm worried if he just stays where he's always been, right? Wide receiver 14 to 18-ish. That's the tough one.
I would probably agree. It's probably Robert Woods, one that you'd probably project, the one that wouldn't, or one of the Rams wide receivers. But I will say, like, I'm a little bit lower on Amari Cooper. And not that I think that Amari Cooper is going to be bad this year, but I don't know. He's had a lot of little injuries. He's been hurt this preseason. I don't know. I could see him missing a little bit of time this year. That's why I'm kind of a fan. You can't take Michael Gallup in best ball because Michael Gallup is going in the 60s in best ball. Him, McCole Hardman's going in the 60s. Mike Williams now going in the 60s range. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, then so like it warps your brain, and then you go over to redraft like ADP and realize that that's not anywhere close to where those guys are going. But I love getting Michael Gallup in drafts and redraft. I think in the redraft you can get him like 8th, 9th round, and so I love taking a shot on him and Mike Williams for that matter in those ranges. But yeah, best ball is a little wild.
Berg, drop a comment. Let us know your nuts on the table take. I want to hear from the guy who's been doing all of the training camp pods and what has what has filtered into your brain. Hit us with one of yours. All right, who's up next?
Back to Tom. Back to Tommy.
Sure. All right, I'm gonna stay close to home here.
Jalen Hurts, QB1.
No, Miles Sanders has 1,200 yards rushing, 400 yards receiving, finishes as a top 10 running back.
Let's go. That's what I like to hear. Some Miles Sanders love. I love it. I'm so tired of hearing the Miles Sanders hate.
His demise has been greatly exaggerated. I mean, Sirianni in Indy last year, they ran the ball, I think, 45% of the time. I think that number goes up, especially because you have a rushing quarterback. I think when they do RPOs, it's going to open things up for Miles. We saw he can be explosive. When he got the ball last year, he was good. He was good when he got the ball. They just didn't like running the fucking ball. So I think his efficiency will be there. I think he's the one thing about that take is the 400 yards receiving, just because he's struggling with his hands. But he's going to get enough targets. And I think they're working a lot of screens back into the offense, which they didn't really have under Doug Peterson. So I feel like he's going to be able to take some of those and stretch those into long plays. So I'm going to go 400 yards there. And top 10 running back, Miles Sanders. He's dead though. He's dead to people.
Yeah, that was the dumbest tweet I've ever seen. I shouldn't say the dumb. I've seen a lot of dumb ones. Like that was up there with the dumbest ones I've seen of this year. Let's put it that way. I'd rather have Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell over Miles Sanders. Get out of here. That's
just mind-boggling.
There's like hot, and then there's just dumb, and then there's just being stupid. Okay, that's what that was.
That was just. Look at me, attention-seeking. It felt like.
So, I love Miles Sanders, though. I do. I like Miles Sanders. I think he's being undervalued, and it's tough because of this range of running backs. But I'll give you my next one. So we're talking running backs. I have Derrick Henry finishes outside of a top 12 running back this year. No, I don't think it's hot, but I saw a lot of people are going to think it's hot. He's going to top 3. But I think we see a drop in efficiency this year of this offense as a whole. I think this defense is going to be booty, and it's going to be bad, and they're going to have to throw the ball a lot more, which is going to take Derrick Henry off the field. Because Derrick Henry is not a pass catcher, and I think he doesn't score as many touchdowns. He's not involved in the passing game, but I think you see some a little bit of a fall from grace, if you will. I'm not saying I think he's going to be terrible this year, but I just think all the factors are going to be working against him. There's no way this offense is going to continue to run that efficient this many years in a row, and the guy Arthur Smith is gone. So, with that being said, I think he finishes outside of an RB1.
Are you projecting an injury?
No.
I feel like that's the only way he doesn't get in the top 12, just because I think he's going to get the volume.
You can't get the volume if you're not on the field, Tom. And
I think he's going to be on the field on first and second down, which he was last year.
Here's the question. Was their defense good last year, I guess? That's my thing, because you say the defense is going to be bad. I don't remember the Titans being a good defense last year. Maybe
no, it's going to be even worse this year.
Yeah.
But if that offense just keeps it in games, I don't know.
I would also argue that a lot of, you had teams like obviously the Texans are still going to be bad, but the Jaguars are going to be much better this year. And, I just think that we are seeing, I think it's the main reason they went out and acquired Julio Jones was because of this defense is going to be bad. You're going to have to be able to throw the ball. And like I said, this team has been so damn efficient. We're talking about one of the most efficient offenses over the last 2 seasons, and it's not even close. Eventually, so your regression's going to hit, and it can hit hard. And so the problem is if they get a lot of negative game scripts, that's where they've been able to – that's why he's been able to win. If he gets a lot of negative game scripts, Derrick Henry's not on the field. He is going to be pulled, and you're going to see other running backs out there. I'm not saying that I think it's going to be a massive fall-off, but – it's not going to take much for a running back who doesn't catch passes to have a little bit more of a down year. No, I'm not calling for an injury. Yes, he's 27 years old. I know he has a lot of mileage the last couple of years. But overall, he's right in line with a lot of other running backs of where they're at. So that's not, for me, I don't think it's that hot. I see where people will take him top 3, which, again, I've said this all offseason, is the dumbest thing and is the dumbest pick that I've seen right now is taking Derrick Henry in a PPR format in the top 3 picks. It's just a bad process and a bad take. But that's my take on it.
I think it comes down to how much does his volume decrease, because I think you're right. They bring in Julio, Arthur Smith gone. They probably balance out a little bit more, right? And getting 378 carries again, even with the extra games, seems like a lot, guys. But does he get that volume and then the touchdown rate, right? He got 16 touchdowns 2 years ago, and he had 17 that year. If he drops down to 12, 13, Kev, like you're saying, I mean, that's a drop off of 26-ish points, right? Like he can absolutely lose that. And then we're talking now he's in the running back 9-ish area. So if a couple other things happen, the volume isn't quite there, misses a game or something like that, I can see it. I can see it.
I'm with Sean there. He just said Julio's going to open things up down the field. And, last year it was tough. They had Corey Davis, opposite of A.J. Brown. So you're going to have to respect the passing game a little bit more. Plus, Julio can block. So I think he'll be a top 12.
First ballot.
That's ridiculous. He is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay. With all due respect, Sean, he is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay. That is
currently he's the Larry Johnson of this generation. If we remember the name Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson had back-to-back years just like this, and then he fell off quick.
And like I said, this isn't an I hate Derrick Henry take. It's I hate Derrick Henry in PPR formats, and I hate his ADP. That's what I hate. I don't hate him. I think he's an excellent running back. He's one of the most talented running backs in the league. But in PPR formats, it matters.
I think you do hate him. I think you hate his mom. You hate his dad. I think you just hate him.
I mean, if he rushes for let's say he rushes for 1,200 and he gets 9 touchdowns this year. Is that a bad year? I wouldn't say it's a bad year for a running back to have a year like that.
Yeah,
that'd be very bad for him.
It would be.
No, it would be for him, but I'm saying that okay, because it would be catastrophic for him if that's what happens. He doesn't catch passes. It's like I said, he had a historical season last year, and he wasn't anywhere close in the same stratosphere as Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara on points per game last year. So,
okay, I know we've talked about Derrick Henry for a while now, but what if they decided to throw him the ball this year? I know we've never thought about that. What if actually it's the reverse of what Kev's saying, is he keeps his volume, and then they decide to throw him, 50 targets instead of the 30, 25 he's been getting?
I don't think that would be enough. But if something crazy happened, let's say he had a Leonard Fournette year, I think that would be a better case scenario. Then you would probably talk about that. Then you definitely would consider him as the RB1 because with his touchdown upside and everything else that he possesses, then yes, it would be there. My biggest problem is just that he just doesn't catch passes, and you don't draft running backs that don't catch passes that high. That's my only problem. So, Cody, what's your next year?
We said it last year
and he didn't. He finishes a top 3 running back, and like I said, it wasn't even anywhere close as the other two. So
instead of taking Derrick Henry in the first, take Nick Chubb in the second, and be happy. They're damn near the same running back. All right. Well, if we're going to continue on the hate and we're not going to hype guys up, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, and Saquon Barkley will all finish outside the top 10 of their positions.
Good God. You just couldn't get enough. You savage. You just kept going.
You had to go 3?
You had to go DK? What is this? Your hot take last year was DK.
Yeah, can I ask? Yeah, explain yourself on the DK one.
I think we see something more in the middle between the way he started the year and the way that he ended the year. We're going to see something closer to the middle instead of those two extremes. I think we see Lockett get more involved. I think Dwayne Eskridge more involved with some volume. General Everett there as well. So I don't think you're going to have DK Metcalf accounting for the majority of what he did last year. Because I think it's just going to be more spread around, more in the middle versus how those were literally 2 completely different offenses from the first half of the year to the second half of the year. I think we see something more in the middle. Justin Jefferson, I think the Vikings are not going to throw as often as they did. I think he's going to regress just naturally from, because of the volume not being there. Old man Mike Zimmer said it before. Zimmer and Pete Carroll need to be fired off to the moon. Send him with fucking Jeff Bezos. Send him with Elon Musk. Get them the fuck out of this atmosphere, out of this stratosphere. Put them on a different planet. Let them ruin Mars. They've done enough damage here on Earth. And then, with Saquon.
Hold on, Code. You think Minnesota is going to throw the ball less?
Yeah.
They were the sixth
fourth fewest.
Sixth fewest. 52%, 52.4%. They don't really have a lot of room to go down.
Well, I wouldn't look at it in terms of them versus the NFL, but look at their team.
It's 52. It's 52%. I mean, that's still
that's only because they were forced to do that because of game script.
Justin Jefferson was really good.
He was really good, and he was still only like wide receiver 8, I think.
This is easily the hottest take. I know we had the Antonio Gibson running back 1, but he didn't just go Saquon as Walito. He that's the one he's most frustrated with. He didn't go just Saquon. He didn't go just DK. He just lumped in like 3 guys going top 6 at their position and just said, to hell with all of them. Y'all done. Y'all are out of here. Y'all booty.
I feel like with the way that Kev started the show, we needed the anchor at the end. So I'll just blow this thing up.
Did you have that coming into the night, or did you just adjust on the fly with how Kev started?
I had the 2 receivers, and I was like, you know what? That's not enough.
Dump it in. Oh my God, that was.
So I mean I don't think the Justin Jefferson take is that hot. Just because I mean I think we know that this team wants to run the ball. Their defense is going to be a lot better than it was last year, and so I think that it's definitely in the range of possibility. Adam Thielen's still there, obviously, so I don't think that one's that hot. But I mean, you can get all the way the fuck out of here with the Saquon stuff, right? So
all the way.
all the way the fuck out of here with Saquon. I don't really understand the hate on the Saquon stuff. It just doesn't really compete with me. With him, we're and you're a Penn State guy. Like, take off your stuff. Like, turn your Penn State stuff in, and you're done. But on that one, I do want you to explain yourself on Saquon. Why?
Daniel Jones is going to be awesome, and he's going to throw the ball a lot.
Yeah,
no,
I mean that's not it at all. The offensive line is absolutely dreadful.
We don't know that.
Yeah, I think we know that.
I don't think we do. Listen, most people are terrible at evaluating offensive line. This is an offensive line last year that started 3 rookies along the offensive line last year during a COVID season, and so that had no opportunities.
COVID season. Now we use the COVID season excuse. You were the one that always told me, hey, if some of these rookies can just ball out in their first year, we can't use that excuse for these other rookies. Like, either we use the COVID off season as a, hey, they didn't get the full off season, or we don't. And I thought you were the guy that was like, no. If James Robinson can come in week 1 and ball out, and he didn't have an off season, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, but regardless of that, regardless, if you want to throw that out, fine. But we're still talking about 3 rookie offensive linemen, which is a lot to ask for any offensive line group. It usually takes a little bit of time for them to gel. Andrew Thomas did in the second half start to look a little bit better and start playing a little bit better in the second half of the season, which is what you'd probably expect. And then, like I said, you had 2 other rookie offensive linemen here. And so I don't know if we know for sure. It's kind of like the Pittsburgh offensive line. It's the same narrative that, this offensive line is terrible. The same narrative we heard the year before about the Rams last year. It was the Rams offensive line is going to be trash. It's going to be terrible, right? And then it wasn't. And so, I think we should probably factor the offensive line in very, very marginally in terms of this time of the year, because we really don't know all that much. That we don't know nearly as much as we'd like to think we do about offensive line play, right? And so, like I said, the Rams is a good example of that. Going into last year, everyone was saying the same thing about the Rams. Rams' offensive line is terrible. It's terrible to avoid Cam Akers because of it. And their offensive line was top 5 last year. That's my point. So keep going. Sorry.
I also trust Sean McVay to be able to scheme up some things that help the offensive line more than I do Jason motherfucking Garrett.
Who did Zeke have his best year under? Was it Jason Garrett?
With a top 2 offensive line. That is not the Giants.
I'm saying Jason Garrett was the offensive was the guy there. Throwing it out there. But keep going. That's it?
Well, if you want to put Barkley behind the Cowboys line from 5 years ago, I will also give Barkley the RB1 year. No, I think they're going to start him off slow. I think he doesn't start with his full workload. I think in order for him to just a couple years ago, 1,300 total yards, 9 total touchdowns, and he was like RB12. I think that would be like a pretty solid year for Saquon. I really don't see. I like how much higher is his ceiling, because he's not going to get the amount of targets he got in his rookie season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the targets is the big thing for me, Kev. As yes. I know you and I have discussed before, I won't go as hot as my friend Cody here and say he's outside the top 10, but I'm not putting my nuts on the table for this guy, so I don't have to. But when you say there's the Barkley hate, there's no Barkley hate. It's just he's not the same. I don't think he's the same guy immediately right away, weeks 1 through 5, 1 through 6, whatever. And I think his situation has changed dramatically since 2018. Like we look at the Saquon Barkley from 2018, we're propping up the Saquon Barkley that was 2018, and there's just so much different. There's just so much different. And so can he be at the running back 2 where you have him? Man, that's drafting him at the absolute ceiling. I think he's more at the running back 6, 7, that consensus, and I have him at and I just think the targets is kind of the big. Cody could have started out with that, right? That's the big crux, is that he's not getting 121 targets like he got in 2018. He's probably not even going to get 100. He's going to be in the 80 ish range, where I don't think he has that top 3-ish upside. But this is not Saquon Barkley hate. It is just relaxing on him.
Apparently, I don't think I'm being angry. I think I'm just bringing passion to this. Okay, like I'm passionate. Damn it! I don't think there's any anger. There's no anger here. I'm fine.
I would like us to do the quick exercise for J Mike here, because he's asking how many running backs have a chance to be top 5, and he asked if Saquon is on that short list. And I do. I think he's on the short list. I have him ranked as running back 7, so it's not a stretch to see him get there. I think he's absolutely on that list. I think there's just enough risk with him where if you're looking at upside, yeah, he has the upside to probably be there. If you're also looking at downside, I think there's enough risk where you can see him, fall out of that range, I guess is what I'm saying. So if you're looking at all these other guys, Henry, Zeke, Kamara, obviously CMC will be up there, Cook, a couple other guys that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Those guys I feel like have less risk than a Saquon Barkley does as we enter 2021.
I have a top 5 running back take right now, so I'll just roll right into that. Najee is a top 5 running back in spite of that offensive line, and I'll stick with rookie running backs. Michael Carter finishes as the RB2 among rookies and has 1,300 total yards.
I thought you were going to say the RB2. I was like, shit. No. You think my take was hot? I got nothing on that.
Among rookies.
Who do you have above him? Just anybody?
Just Harris. Harris.
Oh, yeah, that would be Najee. Harris, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Right. Najee's going to have the volume. Matt Canada wants to run the ball. We know that. He's just a beast. I think he's going to be fine behind that offensive line. He can catch the ball. They're splitting him out. He's going to be great. And then Michael Carter, he's the show in town. If you're in Dynasty, I'm probably going to trade him later on in the season. But I feel like Michael Carter is going to have a good damn year.
Yeah, speaking of...
And for the value that you can draft him at, if you only draft one running back and then you go wide receiver, he's a really good pick. Go ahead.
Do you feel like he's being overdrafted?
Well, he's going in the 6th, is it?
Yeah.
No, because I feel like most of the running backs are gone by then.
Running backs in general are just going higher. And I don't know if that means they're overdrafted or if all of them are doing it. It's tough to gauge when everybody's pounding running back. I feel like he's the last of the tier that I feel comfortable with as my RB3. Honestly, like after him, and for me, it's Rojo. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Rojo guy. After those two guys, I don't feel comfortable with like any other guy as my running back 3. I feel like there's a huge drop off. It's like Damian Harris's and some of these other guys, Moss, Singletary, some of those guys. So I think he's in the right range.
Because I feel like, and I don't think it's like too high necessarily, but like it's borderline depending on how much further. Because right now he is going 6'11", so it's not crazy in terms of like FFC. That's where he's going. And you're probably right. You have guys like Trey Thurman, who's going 1 pick after he is, and then Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, which they shouldn't even be drafted, but Zach Moss, H.A. Dillon, David Johnson. I can't believe David Johnson's going. That's got to change. James Conner, Devin Singletary, which is another terrible one. But so I get it. Like there's a lot of really bad running backs, and maybe you can make a case. I think you could definitely make a case for Trey Thurman to be going higher than he is. But it just feels like this could be an ambiguous backfield, and that Michael Carter maybe doesn't get the kind of opportunities that we're hoping for. And maybe this offense is actually not very good this year or really bad. And so the touchdown upside is very limited as well. And so it really comes down to how much opportunity he's going to get in the passing game. But I don't hate it, and I'm not trying to like bury him or anything like that. I just thought I was just kind of thinking out loud of like where he's going, versus I guess the other picks there. And I guess it would really end up depending on like how your draft turned out if you'd want to take a shot on him there.
Yeah, not much to add on that, honestly. You're right. Like, and when you say you wouldn't be surprised if the offense is bad, I mean, I expect this to probably be.
I guess I shouldn't say be surprised.
It's probably bottom 10, bottom 8 offense.
Yeah, they're probably going to be bad this year. But yeah.
I mean, on the plus side, he is their best pass catching back. So the PPR could float him.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Gore got 653 yards last year. I mean, the other 4 idiots got 860 yards. I think the volume will be there even if they're bad.
That was tough to gauge, Tom. You said Frank Gore got 600 and some yards. I was like, is that good or bad for Frank Gore? Like, I don't know if that's impressive for Frank Gore or if that's just like, that's probably terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying there's a lot of room for those yards.
Yeah.
For Michael Carter. And Michael Carter is going to be better than Frank Gore, obviously.
And J Mike, what is your hot take? What is your nuts on the table take for 2021? While you're here, let us know.
Everybody, I think everybody.
Everybody, let us know what's your nuts on the table take is for 2021. Your bold prediction.
I think AC brings up a good point here. Is Dalvin Cook has played in 14 games back-to-back years, and everyone is basically writing him in marker as the 102. Other than one person on here. Well, Robbie, most. I said most. Dalvin Cook is typically going at 102 in most drafts, and it's like we have completely forgotten about his injury history. It's a solid point, but at the same time, there's injury risk with all these running backs, which is why you hear people talk about zero RB strategy and not maybe kind of waiting until getting your RB1, round 3 or later with zero RB or whatever it is. But if Cook is able, like I said, 14 games last year and he had 1,700 total yards or something absurd like that, and then again, shout out to David Berger in the training camp dialed in. He had Arif Hassan on for the Vikings show, and he said that he thinks that they're going to run the ball more this year. And Dalvin had 300 touches, I think, last year, which is scary to think about for someone with his injury history. So, yes, the last sentence sums that up perfectly. All about the upside and the fantasy gods.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something you should be taking into consideration when you're taking him, because he's literally never played a full 16 games in his entire career. And now you're asking him to play another game. So, yeah, and there's a 40% bust rate among running backs taken in the first 2 rounds. So,
Yeah, he had over 1,900 yards in 14 games.
Yeah, and he still finishes the RB2 in points per game and overall points while still missing time. Yeah.
He's just
we're gonna get the J Mike's take, but I wanted to scroll up and hit Sean's because he dropped this at the beginning of the show, and he's still rocking here with us. We appreciate you kicking it with us this whole time. Robbie, Trey Thurman is your boo. He is your bae. Top 5.
Top 5 is a lot. That I would love to be.
You mean top 5 running back, or do you mean like top 5 among rookies?
I would assume he means top. This is nuts on the table. Sean doesn't come weak saying top 5 running backs.
I like it, Sean. I like it. If that's what we're doing here, that's kind of stuff I want to see. I don't want to see none of these flimsy takes. None of this really weak, bold. I want real bold, and that's hot.
Don't set this up to be disappointed in me. So Trey Thurman going around running back 30-ish. I don't know exactly where he's going. I believe he will be a top 15 running back. I think he's one of your best value picks along with Javonte, but Javonte is just going a little bit higher than him. He's going where, Cody?
On 4 for 4, he is RB 33 at 806.
Yeah, and I just think that is crazy great value. And one could call me biased because we saw it from so many running backs last year. They start the season slow, but we saw them all go off, right? All of these guys drafted first, second, third round, right? They start slow, but then Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, Antonio Gibson, all of these, J.K. Dobbins, they all just pop off and have fantastic ends of the season. And I don't think that's any different with Trey Thurman. And on top of that, I don't think it takes him that long to overtake a Raheem Mostert, who is honestly a journeyman. Like, we think Raheem Mostert is fantastic because he's really efficient. Where have we seen him be really efficient? A Kyle Shanahan offense. Where have we seen Matt Breida be really efficient? A Kyle Shanahan offense. Jeff Wilson, Michael Hasty for a couple games, right? Like, all these no names that don't do anything anywhere else come to a Kyle Shanahan offense and they produce. And now Kyle Shanahan gets probably the best talent he's had in a while. And I think Trey Thurman can absolutely be a top 15 running back on the season, and he's not going anywhere near that. So everyone talks about like Wayne Gallman and Elijah Mitchell. Like, one of those two guys is getting cut, probably Wayne Gallman. Elijah Mitchell is out for a couple weeks here. Like, I'm not worried about this whole split backfield thing because they've had a ton of injuries in the past. And this Kyle Shanahan offense, everyone's getting pumped for Trey Lance. Well, I think we're getting pumped for the wrong Trey because they've shown that running backs are the ones that show the production. In 2019, they were number 2 in rushing. They were number 8. I lost my stats here, but they were number 8 in rushing efficiency, number 1 in rushing touchdowns. So, like, this is a running backs like coach. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a guy that we are way too low on. Top 15 running back. Lock it in. Nuts on the table. Let's go.
Okay. Okay.
No feedback whatsoever. I think that means we lock it in. It's gonna happen. We're not upset about it.
No, I've been I feel like I've been a little bit too negative tonight. So I was, you know what? I'm not going to crush your take. I'm going to let it stand into the world.
Please crush it. I know J Mike's in here. You do not want to disappoint the one that is J Mike, but we got to have somebody that has the anti-take, right? Because Kev, pre-draft process, I was still high on Thurman. You were telling me no. You were telling me guys like Jamar Jefferson needs to be going above him. You were telling me guys like Chuba, some of these other guys that need to be going above him. Are you switching on Trey Thurman a little bit? Are you starting to feel the love? What's your take here?
I don't mind going where he's. Well, it depends on how much further he goes. Because if we stay around where we're going now, I don't mind it. But I still think that this backfield we have seen that they are going to spread it around, and I don't know if you're going to be able to realistically. If you're going to realistically be able to count on them on a week-to-week basis, where you're going to feel good about starting, it's possible, but it's just not something that Shanahan has done. And I know we can say, well, look at the other running backs that were here and all this other stuff, right? But it's more than enough to be a trend. And like I said, they did bring. I don't think Wayne Gallman's getting cut. I don't.
They're going to cut somebody, right? Like, they're going to cut.
It's probably Hasty. If it's going to be somebody, it's probably like Jermichael Hasty or somebody. I don't think it's going to be him.
Maybe.
And so I just think you're probably looking at a situation where he gets 10 to 13 touches a game, and he's going to have to be ultra efficient with it.
Which all 49ers running backs have been. Guys like Matt Breida, guys like
– I understand that.
You know
but
what I mean?
Still, but on a week-to-week basis, to truly trust – now, again, we're understanding opportunity costs and where you're getting them is different, because it's not like you're taking them in third, right? You're taking them in the 7th or possibly the 6th. And so I don't mind taking a shot on him at all. I think it's fine. But saying that he's going to finish his top 15, I think is – for me, would be a bridge too far, because of the fact that I just don't think that he's going to get consistent opportunity to be able to. Because if Mostert's healthy, Jeff Wilson will be back. I think all these guys are going to get opportunities, and that's
the statement. If Raheem Mostert is healthy, wow.
But you still have Wayne Gallman. I mean, you have other guys.
Wayne Gallman is going to be a non-factor if he makes the team. He was horrendous in their preseason work. Jermichael Hasty was actually fantastic in their preseason work. I'd love to do a small little bet between Hasty and Gallman, the bet of all bets, right? I don't think Gallman is anything, guys.
This is why you lose your prop bets.
This is true. I just take the smallest of bets and just throw my whole weight behind them.
I'll make a bet with Hasty versus Gallman.
Oh, but it's Wayne Gallman. I don't get why we are worried about a guy named Wayne Gallman. This is not a guy to worry about for this offense. He's not. I don't think he makes the team if he does.
I don't think anybody's saying Wayne Gallman's going to be the starting running back here. But
you think they're going to rotate between all these guys, though, right?
I do.
Wayne Gallman doesn't get 25 carries on the year, 30 carries on the year.
Let's get back to J Mike.
Yes, let's
because I love this take.
He is a guest in our house, so I will not say what I want to say about that take.
No, you have to, because he also says, "Be you, be yourself." You have to give your thoughts.
Stink.
Yeah,
so
I feel there is more chance. I feel like there's more of an opportunity that Jalen Waddle turns out to be like Henry Ruggs or John Ross than he does be anything else. Okay, I know that there is a portion of the community that absolutely loves Jalen Waddle, but I think that he can be a tremendous weapon. But I don't think he ever hits the type of ceiling that people think that he can be. And so that's my problem with Jalen Waddle. I think he can be a good weapon depending on if they use him correctly and everything else, right? But where his ADP is where people are taking him, this guy. Or not even that his ADP starting to rise, where people are ranking him. I'm like, no, baby. What are we doing? It feels so much like Henry Ruggs last year. Henry Ruggs was the same thing. Henry Ruggs started going up in the 9th, in the 8th round. And look at the speed, all this stuff, right? And I feel like there's an opportunity that we're looking at the same thing, because in all honesty, you have Will Fuller, who's obviously out week 1. Past that, Will Fuller is there. You have Devontae Parker. You have so many, Mike Gesicki. How much pass volume are you even projecting? And so for this team, so that would be my issue with that.
Get him, Tom.
Well, he's
real
going
quick,
to be.
I just want to say that Waddle is going in the 10th. He's going at 10:03, wide receiver 45 on 4-for-4, and then fantasy football calculator. He is wide receiver 44 there at 10:01. I am, because I know where you sit on this, Tom. I will say that I am lower. I do have Waddle as a wide receiver 3 this year, but the wide receiver 24, I like it, J Mike. Tom, take over.
So he's uber efficient with everything that he gets. The first 4 games before he got hurt, Devonta Smith was, getting more targets, and yet Jalen Waddle had more yards. So he doesn't need all the targets in the world in order to blow up. I think the other wide receivers open things up for him. I think he winds up playing a lot in the slot. I think he's going to take some of those slants to the house. I think Tua getting all those weapons, it was a sign that they're going to throw the ball more. So I love that. I love that take, Jalen Waddle. And you know how I feel about him. so I don't have to go crazy in depth?
I think you should, because I think the way Kev, and I love how J-Mac puts this, is that he is not the same prospect as Ruggs. They went to the same school. They went to the same school, and they're both fast. That's right. About it. Hold on, Kev. That's about it. Like Henry Ruggs's route tree was a 9 route and a stop route, and just that's about it. Where Jalen Waddle has, I think he doesn't have the complete route tree, right? He's not a Calvin Ridley type of prospect coming out where he has the full route tree, but he is much more developed and ready for the NFL in his rookie year than what a Henry Ruggs was in year one. So I think that's the biggest pushback that I would have, is that I don't like comparing guys just based on, and maybe you have more, maybe I'm mischaracterizing your position, but they're fast guys that just run 9 routes. No, I think Waddle is a much more developed guy than Henry Ruggs.
He's more Tyreek than he is Ruggs.
No, I knew that. I knew the minute you said Tyreek.
Yep. I did it.
Oh gosh.
I will say Kev and I were on the same page with Ruggs. Neither of us understood Ruggs. When I watched Waddle,
I didn't either.
When I watched Waddle, I was like, I can get behind Waddle. Yep. They're also different in terms of, my amateur YouTube watching film eyes.
Kev's done. And I think that's the biggest thing. Kev does make a great point where I think the limiting thing for Jalen Waddle is the volume that the Dolphins are going to pass with a pretty good defense, I would say, and then the other weapons there. Will Fuller is going to do a lot of the same stuff. Parker, I'm not as high on as most other people, but I do think he gets 5-ish, 6-ish targets a game. Gesicki will be right in the 4, 5, 6 target range. They throw out to Gaskins, Ahmed, somebody. So I just don't know if we see the upside. I think there has to be injury for Waddle to get that volume to vault him up there. But yeah, Cody, you and I are the highest on him. You have him at wide receiver 38. I'm wide receiver 42. So if we're going the high end side of it, I can get up to like 30-ish, but 24, it's a nuts on the table take, and I respect it.
Oh,
here's a nuts on the table take that we can track for the future. Jalen Waddle will never have a top 24 fantasy season in his entire career. How about that?
Write it in the books. So you're just out on him as a prospect. Like, tell me why.
Yeah, I am. I don't think he. I think he is. What I mean that I don't think that he's John Ross or that's all he's ever going to be is a deep threat. I think the NFL though overvalues speed sometimes, because he does have a absolutely terrible breakout age. And we could say that, look at all the other guys that were there and everything else. But he didn't really do anything. And it's still small sample size because he did get hurt this year. But I don't think that he is going to be the type of player that other people think that he is, or he has the ceiling that he does. I think he very well could just be a guy who's utilized as a deep threat. There has been plenty of guys in the NFL who are just fast but never pan out. And the comping to Tyreek Hill thing is because Tyreek Hill is such an outlier. The only reason I bring up a guy like Rondale Moore is because of the absolute freak of nature athlete that Rondale Moore is. And Rondale Moore shits all over Jalen Waddle when it comes to athleticism. Okay? And so comping anybody to Tyreek Hill is ridiculous in the grand scheme of things, because he is such. So he is such an outlier. Because again, he was a 5th round pick, somebody that for most people for the first 2 or 3 years for the first 2 years he was in the league, everybody, it was the same take. He is going to be, all he ever is just going to be a deep threat, right? Well, the dude, and he was incredibly raw, and he had to. He's become an alpha when at his size you don't see guys at his size that become true alphas like he has. He has a complete refined route tree. He's not just a deep guy. You can have him do everything, and he's done it with multiple quarterbacks. It's not a Pat Mahomes thing. It's Alex Smith. He did it with him as well. And so every year there's a Tyreek Hill, and every year it's wrong.
So I said he's more Tyreek than Henry Ruggs. because he's so far away from Henry Ruggs that he's more Antonio and Tyreek than Henry Ruggs.
How would you guys compare him to, like, so I just went to player profile because I just want to see who they compare him to, and they compare him to a guy like John Brown. Would you say he's probably going to be better than John Brown, or no?
Yeah. Yes.
John Brown was a top 24 wide receiver in a year.
Who? I didn't shake my head. I didn't. You didn't see me. Like I'm just not high on him. I haven't been this entire time. I don't think it's possible. Sure. I mean, I guess top 24 is not that high of a bar for him to be able to hit. But I just don't think he's going to be the player that people think that he's going to be. I think that he definitely will always have a role because of his ability as a punt returner or a kick returner and to be able to do all those things. But I don't know. We'll see. And I've definitely been wrong many times before. But I've never been as high on Jalen Waddle as everybody else is. There's just so many wide receivers in this class that I like more than him.
Nice. Who else we got? Cody, have you given your third?
Yeah, mine was the three. Those three finishing outside the top 10.
Oh, we have third?
Yeah.
Okay.
Robbie, do you have one left?
Trey Thurman was my third. I do like the Najee Harris question here because he's a guy that I think we were talking about who do you feel comfortable with as your RB3, and he's a guy that I'm just not if he's on my team because I don't know what the Patriots do in that backfield, especially if they went to a Mack Jones offense. I don't think that you'll see the same efficiency that we saw last year. So that's where I get a little bit nervous if he's my running back 3, and that's the range he's going in. So I would say he's probably where he should be, but I'm out on him at current ADP.
You're out on Najee at current ADP?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I read this as Damian Harris.
I was trying to understand what you were saying. I'm like, I don't know where you're going with this. And I was like, well, maybe I wasn't listening because I was reading some of the comments and I missed the part where you extrapolated that. And I was like, wait, what is he talking about? What is he talking about the Patriots?
It's not his fault. He can't read.
I can't read. Tom mispronounces the name. I read him wrong. We're a great tandem. It works. Yeah. Where is Najee going? He's probably
he's going about 201.
201, so running back, what would that be, like 13, 14?
Yeah.
That's probably right around. Well,
how is that even possible?
He'd have to be
RB 13 or 14, he's going at 201. There's at least 2 or 3 wide receivers going in the first round. Okay.
I got you.
Man, math isn't your strong suit either.
Okay. Gotcha. That would be too high. If he's going at 201, that is too high. He's a middle to end of second round for me. There's a couple other guys that I would take over him. 201 is too high. That'd be running back 8 or 9 if math checks out. I think that is
RB 11 on Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, I think 201. That call was a little high. I don't think he's actually going 201. Is he? He's more. Anyways, early second is too high. I would say
16.2 is his average on Fantasy Pros.
204.
FFC is going at 202. Okay, at 202. Yeah. So
205 on 444.
205 to 208.
So early to mid second round is where he's going. How's that? Can we just say that?
Regardless, so you're not taking him until back in a second. So you're not drafting Najee Harris this year.
I'm missing out on him in most drafts. Although I did get him for one Matt Parrott, Kamikaze friends who are listening, did a little auction draft for Matt Parrott. He was out playing intramural volleyball, getting championships. I stepped in, got him some Najee Harris. Only time I've gotten Najee Harris. So I was spending someone else's money.
Okay. Cody, what about you?
He would have to go in that closer to the mid second for me. There are just other running backs. We've talked about this, I feel like, for the past 3 weeks now, just that cluster of guys going at that 1-2 turn that I much prefer over Najee. So if I could get him in the mid second, I'm okay with that, but I can't take him at 202. Give me Mixon, give me Clyde, give me Eckler.
He's going right in front of Antonio Gibson as well.
Give me Gibson over him.
It depends on Fantasy Football Calculator. You have basically Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Barkley, Eckler, Harris, then Taylor, Gibson, Edwards-Helaire, and Mixon all going after him. right? That's where he's going. So Tom, where are you at? Are you okay with, or would you take him there or what?
I think that's about right. I mean, CMC, Dalvin, Kamara, Henry, Zeke, Saquon, Chubb, JT, Aaron Jones, Eckler, maybe Antonio. So maybe I have him at the RB12. I might take Devontae and Tyreek over him, so that puts him early to mid-second round.
Kelsey as well, probably.
Perhaps. I usually wait on tight end.
Opportunity is king. So
yeah,
his projected volume is probably as high as anybody, if not higher than most of the guys that are going there, just because, things that we've seen with Tomlin and what he wants to do. Like, I think thinking that he could get 85 to 90% of the opportunity in this backfield is very real. I think that's a very real possibility. I think thinking that he could get 80 targets is definitely in the range of possibility.
I think he's going to be an outstanding value.
And so I don't mind taking him where he's going. I think you look at Big Ben. We talk about he can't throw down the field anymore. So what is he going to do? He's going to dump it off. And I think you're going to see a lot of dump offs of Najee Harris. And you're looking at over the last, like I've said, I mean, you look at Le'Veon Bell, who averaged 26 carries a game. I mean, all the running backs, D'Angelo Williams. I went over this a million times. It's just the projected volume that is so high for him. That is why I have no problem with taking him where he's going. The only guys that I would want over him is obviously Antonio Gibson would be the guy. And I think that would be in the list for the guys that are going after him, at least on Fantasy Football Calculator. I would take him over Mixon. I'm taking him over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm taking him over Taylor. And so that's kind of – but the best part about that I do like about having that back end of the draft at 111, 112 is that I can load up and I can get – right now, I mean, Saquon's still going 110. And so you could get Saquon there, and then come back around and get Najee, or you could get Aaron Jones, or however it works out with these guys that fall in there. That's why I just love this range so much of running backs that the guys you can get. But
I think Najee finishes ahead of Saquon Barkley this year.
We can't go back. We can't go back to Saquon. Stop.
No,
Stop
I have nothing to say. He can say whatever he wants. Well, I've said what I've had to say about that. But I get it, because there's a little bit of concern of, he's a rookie and projecting all of that for him year one. Do they utilize Anthony McFarland more, and does he get more opportunity as a pass catcher or whatever? Or, the three wide receivers that are there. Those I understand all those arguments. It's just the history of Mike Tomlin and his lead back, the guy that they spent the first round pick on, that they had to have, that they talked about all offseason. I just don't see how he doesn't get 80 to 85% of the opportunities in this backfield. So.
Jeez, Walito, God, my
savage.
I think that's the point that I'd come back, and I'm glad you made that, Kev. Is that we don't always see the rookies get the volume that it just looks like they're going to have, right? We see Anthony McFarland, right? Unless you're Kevin Steele, you're like, nobody. Benny Snell, nobody, right? We think Najee should have 275 carries, and he should have, you say 80. I temper that a little bit, but he should have 65-ish targets, right? We said the same thing for CH last year. We said the same thing for Jonathan Taylor last year, and it took a while for those things to eventually get to that pace, right? And they didn't end up with those totals, right? So I guess I would just say with these rookies, we always see that, but I feel like a lot of times it doesn't happen from week 1 to week 17. It takes a little bit. Some things happen. They're struggling. I just don't know if we see a full 17-game pace where he gets to that total. And that's why I'd have him. I think Mixon's a really interesting guy that you said you take him over, because Mixon is a guy who I'd say has the exact same volume opportunity, especially with Gio gone, right? Like, he has the 65, 70 target upside. He has the full backfield to himself. And so that's a guy I would argue, I've seen it before. His thing's health, right? His thing is just staying healthy for one GD season, right? Like, just stay healthy and he's going to be the man. So that's why I guess I would just say, with rookies, it can happen, but so often we project it because we just don't see anybody else there. But then a guy like Jonathan Wilkins is getting carries over Jonathan Taylor, right? Or Wilkins is getting carries over Taylor. So that's just where we think versus how NFL teams think. And I think that's where we get caught up. A guy like Malcolm Brown, who should not be getting carries over at Cam Akers, ends up getting carries over Cam Akers because that's how NFL teams operate. So that's where I just pumped the brakes a little bit. I have Najee lower than consensus at running back 16. I saw a couple of people jump in here say running back 14
for Ashton,
For Ashton, and I like that, right? 14, I think, is where Christian has him. 14 to 16 is probably where I got him.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad pick. If he ended up being my RB2, like I said, like that mid-second, like I'd be fine with it. There's just some other guys that I prefer over him. That's all. Then Walito coming through with the Cinco $5 super chat laced with his hot takes. I mean, that last one isn't a hot take, but the other ones potentially are.
Well, it's good because I don't have many fantasy leagues. I'm not like all you dynasty people.
Oh, here we
play.
Let's
47 leagues. I play DFS.
Are there as we go to wrap up? We don't have time for this shit, Kev. We don't. As we go to wrap up, any other hot takes that are coming to your mind that you guys want to rattle off, or anything that you thought of with Walito's?
I got one. And I don't think it's that particularly bold, but I'm going to throw it out there. That the Fantasy Authority has over 5,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of the year. That's mine.
Ooh.
See, that's one you start with. That's one you lead in with. It's not hot. That's
growing every day.
That is your green bell pepper. If you're rocking with us and you're not subscribed, please slam that subscribe button. We appreciate y'all. We also see the analytics and our watch times. Like 20% of the people subscribed to us are only accounting for the watch time on our videos. 80% of y'all who are consuming our greatness here on the YouTube channel are not subscribed. Let's flip those percentages. Let's get that going. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. Kev, anything else? Here we go. Burrow top 10 QB easy. AC, you must have missed that. Tom had him at 5. What you think about that, big fella?
Oh, there was one other thing that you did miss in here. Was somebody asked if we're going to have a listener league?
Oh yeah, Aiden, good call. Yes, we are.
We should probably get that set up. Yes, we are. I think we should do it. Let's make it happen. And let's get it set up. Actually, you have to be in the Discord, though. Yeah, jump in the Discord. There is literally a link to it in this description of this show, but there's also links in like every one of our shows now for it. And you have to be in the Discord, and we will get that set up, and we'll do a 12-man. What, a 12-man? We'll see how much interest we get. We could do maybe 16 if we had to. You know, we could bump it up.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what we'll do is we'll post. We'll make a post here on the community page just for whoever's not watching. But yeah, we'll put all the deets in the in the Discord. Look at this, 3 for the price of 1.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, that's what I want to see. But yeah, guys, if you guys haven't joined the Discord, it's right below me. Right, there's a link. Just click it, join. And then we will talk it out because we need to let's get everybody's input, see what kind of league they want to do, what kind of format, super flex, whatever. You know, we have a lot of dynasty people in here, so they're gonna have all this crazy bullshit ideas of like superpowers and all this other stuff that dynasty people do. You know, so am I wrong? There's leagues that have superpowers in them, right?
You are not wrong.
You are not wrong.
See,
you are not wrong.
Okay, so you act like I'm crazy, but anyways, yes. So join the Discord. We'll get this figured out.
Join the Discord because we're gonna drop some of our player props in there during the season as well.
Did you see my under? Did you see the under that I posted in the?
They just cut me off. I'm sitting here giving an outro, and you guys cut me off. I'm the man. I'm the face that runs this fucking place.
When was the last time you did an outro, Kev? It's always me and Robbie fumbling.
Listen, the people come for my takes. Okay, that's what they're here for. Remember that. Okay.
Yeah, you should let Robbie do the outro like last night.
What do we say to leave? Tom, do I need to hit something? Bye.
Me.
That was
the intro.
The worst
Okay,
outro ever though was by Cody, because I remember it was like because like Wednesdays during the season get wild, right? Where it's like question, starts it, boom, 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 and I mean it's just going on, and we were going at like 2.5 hours. Like
2.5 hours.
It was forever, right? And I just can't remember what happened. How did it exactly go? Because it was like the worst outro ever. It wasn't like, "Hey, hope you guys have a good night." He said, "I think this is stupid." In stream.
I do remember that.
No, yeah, it was because they just kept coming in. We couldn't get to him. Like it was 2.5, 2:45 on the stream. I said, "This is the last one. We got to go. You guys are asinine." That was it.
I was like, "Did you just say that? Did you just tell the people that they're stupid? Basically, people that are watching our show that are in here supporting us."
I meant that in the most loving way possible. Like, this is crazy. We can't keep doing this. We have to go.
I swear, Walito is not a burner account of mine. He's a real guy.
Let's go.
So, anyways,
go ahead.
Join the Discord.
Take it away.
Join the Discord. We'll get a league going. Maybe we'll come up with a prize or something like that. Which, I mean, I guess I can't win it, so I'll be excluded from winning any prize because I know I'll win. So whoever gets second will be able to win something. Okay, and we'll come up with the rules. We'll set all the deets. You got to be in the Discord. Got to be in the Discord, and we'll get a TFA listener league going. Now it's your turn to go to the outro. I'm just dropping knowledge.
I thought that was the outro. Yeah, you just said you were just hyping up your outro.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Night.
What, you have to take a sip?
Cody, I saw your under of Robbie Anderson.
All right. I appreciate everybody checking out the show. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for future content. All the bold takes, all the hot takes, drop it in the comment section below. Let us know what you think about let us know what your nuts on the table take is for 2021. I know what mine is. Link for the Discord, Listener League. We are out. Good afternoon, good evening, and motherfucking good night.